Hello, and welcome to the Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter, and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynn Testoni. I'm a journalist and content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we bring you all kinds of tips, tricks, and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business.
I used spreadsheets for 15 years.
Oh my God, did you?
I know. But as my business grew, I grew out of the spreadsheets.
Yes.
And it got harder to sort of keep on top of all my invoicing and quoting and things like that. And Rounded was the accounting software that finally converted me. And it helped simplify my taxes and also just let me take ownership of what goes on in my freelance business. And I love that I've got visibility over my finances, so I can see what's happening with my cash flow and all the other insights that are on the dashboard.
I know, the dashboard is so cool. I love a good pie chart, and I love the whole thing. It makes it so much easier to work it out.
Yeah.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you can save 20% on any annual Rounded plan, even if you're an existing customer. So see the show notes for details. So Rach, I know you're a huge fan of having a portfolio, and you also see a lot of freelancers who still don't have one, right?
Yeah, I do at Rachel's List. I was recently on Messenger with a freelancer and I was giving her a deadline for getting her website up, and she's been freelancing for 5 years and still hasn't got a deadline. So I think a portfolio is 101. Mine brings me so much work, and I know you've got one. Does yours bring you lots of work?
Yeah, it does. And I think I get a lot of my work word of mouth. I think that's the most common thing. But I think the website and the portfolio is a bit of that sort of third-party endorsement to prove that I'm legit. And so people might meet me somewhere or hear about me. I'm pretty sure everybody goes and checks out my website before they contact me. And I do get a lot of people through my website as well. And I update my portfolio with new clippings or new stories or copywriting or whatever pretty regularly, at least once a month, just adding it, which I think helps to tell Google that it's being current and everything. So otherwise, there's nothing worse than having really old things on your portfolio too. I just think you need one. You just need one. Yeah. Our guest last week didn't have a website, the scriptwriter. Josephine, she didn't too. So that was interesting.
I'm always shocked when a freelancer hasn't got one.
So this week we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of a great freelance website today with our guest, Michal Eisik. She runs her own boutique copywriting agency, but she's also trained hundreds of copywriters in her freelance programs. So she's going to have lots to say on this topic, I'm sure. Do you want to introduce Michal?
Yes, I'd love to. Michal Eisik is the founder of Michal Eisik Media, a boutique copywriting agency that helps B2B tech brands replace generic, forgettable web copy with crisp, differentiated messaging. She's also the founder of Copy Tribe and Profitable Freelancer, both instructor-led mentorship programs that have trained nearly 600 copywriters and freelancers to date. Wow, welcome, Michal. We're so glad to have you.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Look, I've followed you for so long. We were talking about this off air. I'm a huge fan, not least because you have had a couple of really amazing websites. Particularly love the new one.
Thank you. Well, that new one has been through more iterations than I care to admit. The curse of being a recovering perfectionist and a copywriter, where you are basically being judged by your site, right?
Yeah.
I often tell my students that I wish I had screenshotted my first website ever, because it was so bad and so cringy that it would give anyone hope that they can do better one day. And you know something, as awful as that website was, it still brought me a couple of great projects. Shocking, but it did. And that's part of why I'm a huge believer in having something up, some message, some samples, something to show, like you said, Lynn, that you're legit.
Yeah. So does that mean you're constantly tweaking your new website? It's not so new anymore, I suppose, but are you adding, tweaking, taking words off here and there?
Definitely tweaking, mostly words at this point, not so much the layout. I feel like that's the part that takes a lot of upfront investment, the visuals, the layout, the flow, and then you end up refining the messaging as you go along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do that a lot. And
Yeah, me
and I
too.
think it's important because I had a print background. I came from magazines, and we were all, you get into the mindset that whatever's up is there forever
Yeah.
because that's what print is like. But the chat, mine is totally different too, word wise. The actual structure is still the same, but you constantly up, anything on the net can be changed instantly.
Yeah. It's the beauty of it.
100%. And I, for this reason, I tell students who are putting up a website, your number one priority is to choose a tool that's going to be easy for you to update
Yeah.
and edit. So don't invest $5,000 in a beautiful fancy site where you're going to have to hire a developer to make a change and add a sentence. It has to be something, especially your first site when you're solo, you got to be able to just go in there and quickly iterate.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
I'm in that situation now with Rachel's list, which
Yes.
was a custom build. So every time I do want to change something, I'm ringing a developer. That's all changing now. We're going back to WordPress, which I can't wait for. Yeah.
Because I know you
That's
do both agency work and you also train copywriters. You talked a bit about your students there. Tell us a bit about your mentorship programs and how they work.
So Copy Tribe is my flagship copywriting mentorship program. It's a 5-month, pretty intense certification course that covers fundamental marketing strategy and all core kinds of copywriting. So ads, homepages, landing pages, full web copy, emails, blog posts, video scripts, e-commerce copy, and a bunch of others. It's basically the course that I wish I would have had when I was learning copy. I acquired my copywriting skills through a total hodgepodge of resources, some free, some paid, but not in a structured hierarchical program where I could start and do all the work and show up to the classes and practice and finish and feel like, okay, I have everything I need to get going. There was always this feeling of like, I'm missing this, or I don't really know what I'm doing about that, and just loads of gaps. And so that's really what motivated me to create Copy Tribe. So that's the copywriting program. And Profitable Freelancer is like an MBA in freelancing. It's for creatives who are solid at their craft, but they want to get better at processes, systems, client management, pricing, positioning. They want to be able to find clients more easily, less stress. And a big focus is on figuring out how to market your own business because we know the shoemakers, kids go barefoot, and a lot of times we're really good at helping other clients market their businesses, but we haven't developed a solid system for marketing our own businesses in a way that aligns with our industry, our specialty, and our style. Like we try to force ourselves into boxes and use certain marketing channels that are just not working because we don't enjoy them or they're not necessarily the ideal for our target client.
Amazing. Well, you recently posted on LinkedIn about the types of creative freelancers you see and the strange ways that they might cobble together a portfolio. And I thought it was just so spot on. I think there was a few, wasn't there? The drive disaster, the time capsule. Do you want to take us through those? And we'll put a link to the post in the show notes so people can read it. But talk us through those 4 ones that you listed.
Yeah, sure. So what prompted me to write that post is the fact that lots of times we get leads and we post them in our alumni community Slack. And these are great leads. And over the years, what made me crazy was when people would post these cobbled together drive links. And I thought to myself, we're not sending that to the lead. Like, that's just not good enough. And at some point, we actually instituted a policy where if you want to be considered for a lead that we post from the Copy Tribe Profitable Freelancer umbrella, then you need to have either a professional PDF portfolio or a website link that we can send to the lead. It's just not enough to have that drive there. So we had the drive disaster. So the work is spread across 10 Google Drive folders, none of them shared properly. Half of them are titled final M-V3. And then you have the time capsule, which is the fellow who put up a website in 2019. It's collecting digital dust and their portfolio highlights are just not their best work anymore. And then you have the Portfolio Pro. So this is the freelancer who's the unicorn. They've got a solid site. It's not the fanciest site necessarily, but the services are clear, the message is clear, the specialty is clear, and there are a couple of strong samples and maybe even 2 or 3 case studies that tell a good story. And what I really want to convey with this is that you don't need to have the super fancy website or massive portfolio with 20 samples. In reality, a professional clean site with a strong message and 3 to 5 really strong samples are often totally enough because, like you said, Lynn, a lot of times leads are just looking to confirm that you're a good choice and they look to the website to do that for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think clients think about freelancers that don't have a website? Do you think some of them don't care, or would some of them just say, no, I don't trust her? What do you think?
Yeah, it really depends on the client type and how warm the referral is. So if you're dealing with a colder lead who's comparison shopping, or a more sophisticated lead, a B2B founder, the CMO of a 10-person company, not having a website could be a deal breaker because these folks are risk averse and they need to feel confident that you're legit. Not having a website does not give that confidence. If you're dealing with a smaller business owner, more of a mom and pop situation, or a very warm lead who was recommended by a friend, they might hire you based on referral, reputation alone, but they'll still Google you. And if you do have some kind of trust-inspiring website, they're that much likely to get on a call.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We talked a little bit about, how you wished you'd screenshotted your original website, and I definitely did that with mine. Is a bad DIY website better than nothing? Because I know there's a lot of them in my group who have those.
Yeah. So I think it depends on how DIY we're talking. And I know that's like a very unsatisfying answer, but just how clunky is the site? Just how dysfunctional is it? Just how dated are the samples? So long as it's basically clean and professional and the copy doesn't read like completely generic cliche, then I think it's an overall bonus. It's a plus. If it does have that super, super DIY feel, then it can become a liability.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is interesting because I think it doesn't take, you don't have to do everything about updating your website too, because I do speak to a lot of writers who say, oh, don't look at my website, it's really out of date. We have this a lot when we have podcast guests and people doing really well, but we ask for their website for the show notes and they say, oh, I'll have to get it organized, I haven't done it. And this is the impetus for them to finally get their website under control. But there is that thing, oh, one day I'm going to get to it, but it doesn't have to be. You can just do a little bit at a time, can't you?
The best thing to do really is to build it into your system. So like as part of your offboarding process for every client, you have some kind of feedback interview, hopefully glean together a testimonial based on that. You get approval from the client, you pop it onto your website. Then you add the sample to your website as part of that offboarding. And even having like a monthly or quarterly item built into your calendar where that is your website update time, it's so important because we neglect our own businesses. If it's not penciled into your calendar, it's just not going to happen.
I love that. That's a really great tip, actually. Yeah. Just include it as part of your offboarding, as part of that project being put to bed. Yeah. That's
One of the
great.
things somebody told me years ago was that on the first of the month, you Google yourself, which is what I do now. And that's quite handy. And you see where you pop up in unexpected. Sometimes I pick up like stories I didn't know were live, things like that. But sometimes it's just a good way of just making sure that your website comes up front and center, all those sort of things. Is quite handy.
That's a really good tip. And although like a part of me is almost scared to do that every so often, because it's like, what am I going to show up for now? Like what is coming up as the number 3 search result for me today?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is important.
The only reason that I do that is because a freelancer that we know and are very friendly with in Australia, Rashida Tayabali, she and I have this friendly rivalry about who's going to be, at the top for Copywriter Sydney. So we're always Googling and like, oh, I'm there today. Or she's there the next day. Yeah, so that's quite funny.
So how can a freelancer's website instantly capture attention?
So I would actually question that assumption. Does a freelancer's website need to grab attention, or does it need to retain interest? Most of the time, we're
Good
not
point.
using it as a top of funnel asset.
Mm.
And we're using it more like we noticed this freelancer on social media. We met them at a networking event. Now we want to learn more about them. So I think it's more about retaining that interest and, yes, being memorable, but I don't think it has to have that same creativity or sparks or bells and whistles of an ad campaign, a billboard, something like that. And in fact, if you're not specializing in super creative or personality driven copywriting, then I would even go so far as to say that a flashy website with very clever words might actually be a turnoff for your client. They might be looking for more of that straightforward, elegant, professional tone, depending on the industry. So something to consider. That said, being memorable does mean speaking to the pain points and outcomes that your ideal customer really cares about.
Yeah.
And using fresh, vivid language that hasn't been used a zillion times before. So not sounding like every other copywriter in your space. And a big part of that is actually having a unique perspective. And that's like easier said than done, because you can't just like wake up one morning and say, okay, today I'm going to develop a new perspective. Like today I'm going to have a strong point of view.
Yeah.
It's something that really comes with time and expertise. But very often freelancers have a very specific point of view on their work, their approach. And it's something that's been built over time, something that bothered them about their industry and they do differently, something that they like, a gap that they noticed in their industry. And I think that if you can really drill down into that unique point of view, then you end up having more meat to your messaging and an easier way to stand out among copywriters in your space.
Okay. Let's talk for a minute about the hero panel, that first panel that you see. It's the one just above the fold. What should you be looking to have on that? Is that just like a statement of work where you encapsulate what you've just been saying somehow and have a call to action as well?
Yeah, exactly. It's really about clarity. So answering the questions of who you are, what do you do, who do you do for, and why should I care? So answering those questions quickly, concisely, in a way that makes me want to read more and doesn't overwhelm me. And to that end, specificity can be really helpful. So I help businesses grow doesn't mean anything. Everyone says that. I help B2B founders 2 times their demo calls with conversion-driven landing pages. Okay, that's more meaningful to my target client. And this is really where voice of customer research comes in, pulling words and phrases directly from your clients. That said, the voice of customer could be used throughout the homepage, and you want to be careful to keep the hero section clean and concise. I like to tell my students that an ideal hero header should be 4 to 8 words max.
Yeah.
And the subhead, I would say 6 to 12 words max.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, you are one of the biggest legends in the copywriting world. I follow a lot of them. So what are the biggest mistakes you see freelancers making with their overall website copy?
That's very kind of you. So I think the biggest ones are writing for themselves instead of their clients. So I'm passionate about storytelling. That's a great thing, but it's not why someone's going to hire you. Can you spin that storytelling passion and word it in a way that is more relevant and resonant for your client? I think a lack of proof is another big one. And I know it's hard to get, like getting those testimonials from clients. It really takes time and effort. But like I said before, if you bake it into your offboarding process and it just becomes part of your workflow, then it becomes that much easier and you end up building up those testimonials over time. And every single one adds value and credibility to your site. So if you can get past the 3 testimonials that have been on your website for the past 6 years and broaden it a little bit and try to get testimonials more from your ideal customer, that's a huge value add. And I've even told students in the past that if you are negotiating over a project and the client has a pretty fixed budget that is lower than you would normally charge for a given project, one way to negotiate is actually to be upfront with your client and say, listen, I'd love to work with you. This is below what I typically charge for this project. That said, would you be amenable to a setup where we go for the project at this rate? And if you are pleased and satisfied with the work at the end, you commit to taking the time to share a 3-line testimonial about our work together. And the reason that's so powerful is because a testimonial really has monetary value.
Yeah.
So it can compensate for the lower project rate because it serves as a springboard for the next project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think we think about testimonials as having monetary value, do we? But they do. They
Yeah.
can really land you that next project. Yeah.
Although, so most of my work is actually writing case studies for clients, and that's essentially what a testimonial is. And that's, I know, has huge value to them and helps their network as well.
That's so
Yeah, and that could also be the negotiation. Like you can negotiate a mini case study and say like that would be something that I will create a mini case study about this project and put it up on my site. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So let's talk a bit about design mistakes. I also wanted to talk a little bit about one of the other mistakes I see a lot is that some freelancers don't have a photo of themselves. Do you think that's essential? And is that part of the design that needs to be there?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, when you're working with a freelancer, it's a person-to-person relationship, and a picture tells a story in a way that words cannot. And I say that as a copywriter. So I really would invest, like go simple, go basic, use Wix, Squarespace, Canva for the actual website platform. But if you're gonna invest some money, throw it out a photo shoot with a quality photographer. Get yourself some good photos that are trust inspiring, that really tell your story and give across your vibe. There's nothing that screams DIY more than stock photos. Like that it makes you feel so generic to the person considering working with you. Even custom illustrations that you can get on Fiverr or something a little bit more unique would be better than going with those generic photos of people with the handshakes and the big white smiles, right?
Laughing woman with salad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the parallel in the tech industry is the guys with the wide pants. You know what I'm talking about? Those SaaS websites. Every SaaS website has the illustrations with the wide pants, which say nothing about the product and basically scream, we are just another one of the bunch. So yeah, I would really invest in a professional photo shoot, and it doesn't have to be like, even if you get 10 great photos, 5 to 10 great photos, that can be the basis for a website. You don't need a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I would say about design on the DIY websites is be very careful with your fonts and colors.
Yeah.
So keep it to 3 colors max and 2 fonts max, and 3 font sizes. 1 for your headers, 1 for your subhead, 1 for your body copy. That's it. So we may not realize it, but the sites that really scream DIY are the ones that have the colors all over the place, tons of colors, no consistency, and like random fonts, random sizes. The sizes keep changing, the line spacing keeps changing, the padding keeps changing. So just deciding and having that consistency of your fonts, your sizes, and your colors can go a really long way.
That's so true. And I suppose loads of copy as well can look really amateurish and also turn people off.
Yeah, and I don't even mind longer copy if it's tight, obviously, and it's strong copy, so long as it's laid out well, which means you got to break it up, chunk it up, add visuals, like no long paragraphs.
Yeah. I think one of the worst things people do is about me, which they're sort of about page, and it ends up being like every job they've ever had or a CV, and it's got their whole life story rather than, as you said, Michal, but earlier, it's less about their clients and more about them, and that's a big no-no.
And I think it's fine to talk about yourself so long as you tie it back to the client's benefit. The
Mm.
client does want to hear about your experience as a journalist and your knack for storytelling. Like these are important things, but it has to be written from the client's perspective. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so what? And how is that relevant?
Mhm. Well, let's talk
Yeah.
about clippings. You did mention, I think, did you say 3 to 5?
Mm.
3 to 5 clippings. I must have like at least 10 times that. So obviously
Wow.
this is, yeah, because I keep getting it in my head that, oh, this is a really good clipping. I can't like take it off the site because what if the next person that hits my site, this is the perfect clipping that like gets them over the line. But I am going to go and like cull massively after this recording. But definitely
I
less is,
I hope you hold her to it, Lynn.
yeah.
Yeah, I will. I will. I'll be checking. I'll be checking.
But it sounds like less is more, and a mixture of clippings and case studies is good, is better.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if your clippings are all in your niche and every single one is one that you're super proud of and is something that's likely to impress your ideal client, then go for it. Like, there's nothing wrong with having the volume so long as each one is strong and relevant.
Yeah.
The problem is when your clippings are so diverse
Yeah.
and not necessarily updated that then it just becomes a potential liability.
Mm.
And the other thing I would say is that if you do have a lot of clippings, say like more than 10 on a site, then see if you can categorize them in some
Yeah.
way.
That's
Just
what I've
have
done.
Mm.
Yeah, because I've got 3 niches really. So each niche is like a page, a portfolio page that's optimized with the clippings in categories on that page. But there would still be way more than 10 on each page. But they're links, under a category heading
Mm.
rather
I
than
think that's
images.
fine. I think the trouble is more when clients have to wade through things in order to find something that's relevant. If they
Yeah.
can easily find a couple of relevant samples and then just be impressed by the volume of your work, then I think that's a really nice combination.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I don't need to do anything then.
Yeah, I do notice that when I look at one of the things with my website, and I'm sure you do the same, Rachel, is I look at the Google Analytics and see what people click on. And it's pretty rare that people click on the clippings on my portfolio. They always click on my testimony, my about me sometimes, and the testimonials are probably the biggest ones. What about, and the clients I've worked for, I have a page of, logos and things like that, and people click on that a lot.
Yeah. I'm trying to think because I do more Search Console when I check.
Mm.
And they definitely go to different pages. It's definitely web copyright, my service pages than
Yeah.
my portfolio
Mm.
pages.
So
Yeah,
that's
because that's
interesting.
obviously what they're looking for. They're looking for web copywriting or content marketing or something like that. Yeah, so they go straight to
So
that.
that sort of proves Michelle's point, I think. Yeah, that
Yes,
maybe we don't need to. I'm on
absolutely.
her side, really.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. I mean, that really that goes to show that if you have a strong website with a clear message and a strong about page, then you may not need to have a zillion items in your portfolio. A lot of clients won't even have the patience to click through and read through this. They just want to see that they're there. They
Yeah.
want to see and feel like, okay, she's been there, done that. She's got a couple of testimonials from people just like me. I think I'm safe to go and book a call and learn more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. So, we talked a little bit about case studies. Do you think they're really important? Should we write more case studies about our work, and how can they help convert clients?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in case studies. I think that for most clients, you want to keep it pretty short. Like, I love the mini case studies, the problem, the solution, or I like to call it the challenge because no client wants to present as having problems. So the challenge, the solution, and what you did. A little bit more details, a little bit more context to make your work meaningful. So it's not just a pretty site, but it actually solved a business problem. I think that for higher ticket offers, like let's say a launch package, copywriters who specialize in launches. So they might be charging 10, 20K for a bunch of different assets. So for that kind of offer, then a more detailed, robust case study could work really well. where you dig deeper and you show how the assets contributed to a massively successful launch.
How interesting.
Yeah.
I write a lot of case studies because my niche is in design and architecture. Write a lot for my clients, and that's really valuable for them. But I've never done one for myself. How funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not alone. I think we all we all neglect our marketing to some extent. And I don't think it has to be like an overwhelming project. That's what I'm saying. Like if you tell yourself I'm gonna spend 3 hours creating 3 mini case studies from my most recent top projects, then you can have something compelling without a ton of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the big questions that comes up at Rachel's List all the time is, should I put my pricing on my website? And you see some freelancer websites, they've got these, packages in a really nice table and that sort of thing. So what are your thoughts on that? Yes to pricing, or some pricing, but not all? How do you think it's most effective?
I'm a huge fan of communicating pricing. Number one, it avoids sticker shock on a call where you invest a lot of time in the sales process back and forth. You get on a call and then you throw out a number and they're like, oh. So all that time just went down the drain. So long as the messaging on your site is strong, giving context to your prices. So it's not like, hi, my name is Michal and I charge 10K for a web copy project. But you actually have the social proof and everything else to justify your prices, then having some kind of price range on your site is so helpful. It filters out all the low quality leads, and it creates a situation where once you do get on the call, it is spent about confirming synergy and not worrying about the elephant in the room, the number you're going to throw out at the end of the call. So it's like a whole different sales process. That said, if you don't have clear-cut offers and you have a lot of custom services based on the client's need, then just having a starting at price point can go a really long way and avoid loads of wasted time on your end. I happen to love packages. If you do tend to have a specialty kind of deliverable and you offer the same things a lot to clients, then having 2 or 3 core packages, laying them out on your site, it can do so much of the selling for you. And a lot of times it opens clients' eyes where like they thought they needed something. And then when they look at the package, they're like, oh, yes, that's what I need. Or like they thought they needed one item, but when they see your package that includes like 2 or 3 items, they're like, you know something, I could really use all of them. So you end up having this inherent upsell before you even got on the call with the client, just by showing them what they could potentially benefit from. And what was so interesting is that in the previous iteration of my website, I had what I now consider very cliche and cringy. I had 3 packages that were named by ice cream cones. I think I had like the single scoop, the double scoop, and the full caramel sundae, something like that. Okay. So I thought that was like really cute at the time. You know, those things where you're like, this is so clever.
We've all been there.
I happen to love ice cream. I still eat a lot of ice cream. So I thought this was like going to be part of my brand and cute. And what was so funny was that I would get on these calls with B2B founders, and they would, in this very serious tone, be like, so we're considering the triple scoop, but we need a little bit more information, like they spoke about the packages with such reverence. I was like, wow, my scoops are getting the respect they deserve, Like
Yes.
it was fascinating to see how they really used those packages as a springboard for a discussion on the call. Like, we really want that, but maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. So it just gave us a lot of talking points and started the conversation. Instead of like, should we work with you? The conversation was from a place of like, okay, which package should we go with?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
So, I mean, some of our listeners are in quite competitive niches. I know we have a lot of travel writers who listen particularly. Is there a good way to stand out in those sort of competitive niches, like from the rest of the crowd with your website?
So this is where I feel that feedback interviews with clients can be so valuable. And I call them feedback interviews because I like to frame it as an interview where I'm looking for all kinds of feedback, not just positive, glowing praise, but actually constructive feedback that can help me improve my work, improve my processes, which is true. And again, if you bake that into your offboarding process and you ask a client if they're willing to get on a 10-15-minute call with you at the end of every project, the insights that clients share in those calls can be so valuable to help shape your narrative and really crystallize what it is that makes you unique. It's so hard to see it when you're inside of things. And your clients can really be the ones to tell you why you're different, why they want to work with you over everyone else. So I think that's a really great place to start. And then also what I mentioned earlier, if you do have a unique point of view on your industry, on how things should be done, on how things shouldn't be done, then that can be a really great way to stand out.
Yeah.
Mm.
Interesting.
Interesting. Well, the question I'm going to ask now is a really big question. It's about, turning your website into a lead generation machine. And I know that a lot of things go into that, including SEO, which many people's eyes glaze over about. But, what are the steps that you can take in order to start getting leads through your website?
So I think you really have to clarify, are you using your website as a top of funnel asset? Like, are you going with the SEO route and hoping to rank for certain keywords and like the first time they encounter you is going to be your website? Or are you using your website more as a trust builder further down the sales process? Because those are two very different approaches and they require different levels of work. The SEO approach is obviously going to involve a lot more content and keyword based strategies. But really the most important thing for both of those types is to nail your positioning, to really get clarity for yourself on who you help, how you help them, why I should consider you over everybody else. If you don't have clarity, if you can't answer those questions very clearly and confidently, then your website's going to be all over the place. And you're going to keep adding pages and ideas, and it's not going to have that cohesive feel.
What are the differences? Talk us through those two things you mentioned, the SEO route and the middle funnel approach that you were talking about. Why would you choose one over the other?
So I think if you operate in a very specific niche where people are actually searching with high intent keywords and they are likely looking for content in those spaces, then I think that's an approach you should definitely consider. I personally have not engaged in that SEO work at all myself. So I can't speak to like the technical aspect of it, but I do know that it would involve a lot of great content creation that's built around the keywords that you're targeting. The reason you might choose that is if you don't like social media, you don't like showing up in social media all the time, having to be so consistent about posting, and you rather have this like long-term big picture investment of creating the content and doing all the technical back-end SEO stuff to rank. And it's really an upfront investment because it could take like a year until you start seeing those results. But if you're willing to do that, then and you're a great content writer and you're operating in a specific niche where there are keywords you can legitimately compete on, then I think that could be a great option for you. Jacob McMillan, who's a wonderful, talented SEO strategist and copywriter, he talks a lot about this, that when he put up his website, I think it took him like a good 3 years till he started effortlessly generating leads via SEO. He was optimizing his site all the time. But then once he hit that 3-year mark, he basically just sat back and the leads just kept coming in.
Interesting. Yeah, I know Rachel's great with the SEO and that's something she's really invested in. And I'm much more of that middle funnel person that people, because I've been doing this for a while and I have really good contacts I'm in a deep niche. And so people find out about me, but I think they use it as a secondary thing just to see who I've worked for and just to make sure.
As a confirmation.
Yeah, as a confirmation.
Yeah. Interesting.
And to
if you have a
contact me.
strong network and you're getting good referrals overall, then you may not need to invest in this kind of SEO strategy.
So is there anything important? Like we've asked you so many questions and it's been so valuable. Is there something else that, we need to know about creating an effective freelance website?
I would say don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be 5 or 6 pages at the very start. one great page is enough, so long as it's clear and strategic and easy to navigate and inspires trust, tells people who you are and why they should consider you more than anyone else. At the end of the day, clients are investing not just money with you, but time. And for a busy CEO, that's a huge thing. So what they're really looking for when they come to your site is they're asking the question of like, please help me justify hiring you. Please show me that it's not going to be high risk to work with you. Show me that this is like a no-brainer, low risk move. And by having that strong messaging with a couple of good samples, testimonials, and proof, you are enabling them to move forward and go ahead and continue the conversation.
Yeah.
Oh,
Interesting.
one more thing I would say, Rachel, by the way,
Yeah.
if you're a copywriter, triple check your website for typos. Like,
Yes.
that does not look good. So typos, you know, we're all human, but like this is your website and you're a copywriter. This is what you do for a living. So pull yourself together, do a peer review with someone else if you need another set of eyes, but make sure you don't have any typos.
Yeah, that is a good tip.
Yes.
Well, we love to ask all our guests about their, you know, the best tech or services that they would be lost without. So what are yours?
Oh my, you have another 2 hours?
Yes.
Yeah, give it to us. Give us the list.
I'll give you the abridged version. Okay.
Okay.
So let me start with the tools that I think every freelancer should have. And then I'll talk like briefly about the tools that I use as someone who manages a team. So going back to the website thing, you got to have some kind of website platform. So if you want to do the really simple, easy to edit ones, Squarespace, Canva, Wix, we use Webflow for our website. Webflow is also great. And when you use Webflow, just make sure you set your sections up as like a content management system, a CMS, so that you can easily add those testimonials, the logos, and that becomes really effortless. That's the website piece. We use Google Drive. It's an oldie but goodie. That's where all our files and deliverables live. And I also am a little bit nutty about naming things, having clear naming conventions for documents and folders so that you can actually find things when you need them. That's a big one. Loom. I send probably 15 videos a day, kind of
Oh, wow.
embarrassing. But I send a lot of videos, not just for clients. When you're presenting work, that's like a huge piece. Sending a Loom along with your deliverable if you're not going to be presenting live. But anyone you're working with, I find that having that human voice and context to what you're saying goes a long, long way. I'm a huge fan of Loom. Calendly for meetings and for paid time-based offers. ChatGPT and Claude all the time, all day long. My team, what we've discovered is that Claude tends to be a little bit more creative. So we like using it for first drafts, content creation, brainstorming, while ChatGPT is really good for editing, polishing, and basically any other technical task. Time tracking, we use Clockify, but I've used Toggle in the past. That's like a must. If you're a freelancer and you want to make sure that you're actually running a profitable business, so you have to know how many hours you're investing in different projects. And then email list. If you do have an email list, we just migrated to Kit. I'm actually sending a whole email about our migration soon. Moved from Active Campaign, and so far it's been really, really great. So I warmly recommend it. So far, if you're a creator, then like it's like basically for the value that you get as a solopreneur, Kit makes a lot of sense. Project management, we love Monday.com, mostly because it doesn't make me dread going into the interface.
So important.
Yeah.
Like I just was like, oh, I don't want to open Asana. I just don't want to open it, you know? So I feel like it's such an individual thing. You have to find something that like, I wouldn't say lights you up, because I don't think project management tools light you up, but again, something that you don't dread looking at. And then Slack for team communication. Nothing beats that for quick questions, sharing random memes, group discussions. Use that all the time.
Interesting.
Oh, that's so good. I think I use almost all of those. So that's really interesting. Yeah, it's good. So I feel validated.
Yeah. Where do you have your communities? Are they all on Slack as well?
Yeah, for now. I know there's like different platforms that people have like probably even better for community building, but right now I find that since most people are anyway on Slack, it's kind of good to like have the communities there in the platforms they're already using every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. We love Slack. We use it for the podcast, and
Yeah.
also our Rachel's List team is on there as well. And it's great.
Mm.
And then another thing that I just recently set up and actually posted about on LinkedIn is QuickBooks.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we were doing spreadsheets for an embarrassingly long time and finally moved to a proper QuickBooks setup. So don't be like me. Do it sooner rather than later, especially if you're working with a team and especially if you have multiple offers.
Yeah. I look at financial management software is really key. It just helps it, and it just makes you more efficient, and tidies up at tax time and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. This has been amazing, Michal. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
This was
thank
fun.
you.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having
it was
me.
lovely. Thank you joining us all the way from across the world in Israel. And you've got a team all over the world too, haven't you?
Yeah. We have New York, Philippines, an occasional team member from Memphis. So pretty worldwide.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Fantastic. Well, let us know where everybody can find you, check out the freelancer mentorship programs that you do and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so come visit me, michaleisik.com, michaleisik.com. There is a full page of free stuff, free resources, lots of valuable lead magnets. Feel free to find the crash course or the checklist that suits you. And I also would love to connect with you on LinkedIn. So send me a connection request, always looking to expand my network with smart copywriters and freelancers.
Oh, fantastic.
Definitely. We'll pop that post in as well. That kind of like was the launch pad to our whole chat today.
About the portfolios. Yeah.
Yeah, about the portfolios and the different types out there, which is quite funny. So we'll put that in the show notes as well as links to where everybody can find you and check you out. It's your website is amazing and it's very easy to navigate as well. Which is important, as we've learned today.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of the show this week. But thanks to everyone listening. And don't forget to leave a rating and review.
A good testimonial, in fact.
We would love some social proof, some recent social proof.
Yes, always good.
That's
always good.
Yeah, that's on our list. Thanks, everybody.
Perfect. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again to our wonderful sponsors, Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software that helps freelancers run their business with confidence.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you can check your welcome emails for an exclusive discount code on the annual subscription rate. You can also find it in the private Facebook Gold group or just contact us at hello@rachelslist.com.au.